feels like things are changing faster and faster, you know?
It really does.
I mean, how do you even keep up with it all?
Right.
That's like every day there's something new to figure out.
Yeah.
And not just little stuff either, like big shifts
Absolutely.
in like everything, like how we connect with each other, the economy, technology, even the planet itself.
Mm-hmm.
So, well, that's kind of why we're doing this deep dive today.
That's right.
To give you, the listener, a little shortcut
Exactly.
to understanding what's coming next.
Exactly.
We've been looking at this report, Micro Trends That Shape Our Lives in 2025.
Yes.
And it is packed with insights.
It is.
So we're going to pull out the most interesting and most important changes, the ones that are going to have a real impact on your life.
Yes. We want to give you that clear picture of what to expect.
Exactly.
Because it really is about seeing those subtle shifts
Right.
that are going to add up to big changes.
Yeah, and this report, it comes from a whole bunch of sources, so we're getting...
Ooh, a really broad perspective.
Yeah, a really broad perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, let's jump right in.
Let's do it.
And I think a good place to start is social media.
Okay.
Because it feels like that's where a lot of these changes are starting.
Right. I mean, it's how we connect.
Yeah, exactly.
And what we're seeing is this shift from really interacting on these platforms,
Yeah.
Having those back and forth conversations, to more just consuming content.
Oh, that's interesting.
Just passively scrolling through a feed.
Yeah, it's like TikTok, right?
Exactly.
It's just like this endless stream of videos.
Mm-hmm.
And the report actually raises this question of whether that's even sustainable.
Yeah.
Like, can you actually build a community that way?
Right.
And can creators actually make a living if it's all about just delivering content and not about those interactions?
And that seems to be the focus for a lot of users now, just that content delivery.
Yeah, and I feel like it's almost like a reaction to that.
Wow.
We're seeing this resurgence of in-person events.
Yes. People want to connect in real life.
Yeah, like we've had enough of the digital world.
Right.
And we need those real human connections.
Absolutely.
And the report actually had this really interesting statistic.
Okay.
74% of people
Yeah.
feel more connected to a brand after attending one of their in-person events.
It's powerful.
That's huge.
It is.
It really shows you the power of actually being there.
Right. Experiencing something together.
Exactly.
Sharing that moment.
Yeah, and the report, it suggests that organizations, they need to be thinking about this.
Yeah.
They need to be creating those opportunities for people to come together.
Local meetups.
Yeah, meetups, workshops.
Workshops, yeah.
Even those like hybrid events
Oh, interesting.
where you have both online and offline components.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, so it's about, creating those opportunities for real interaction.
It's about genuine connection.
Yeah, and building on that idea of connection. We're also seeing the rise of these niche interest communities.
Makes sense.
Right, because social media, it can feel so big and so impersonal.
Mm-hmm.
And these smaller groups, they allow people to connect with others who share their very specific passions.
Yeah, and for organizations, this is a really valuable opportunity.
Oh, how so?
Well, they can engage with these smaller groups in a much more targeted way.
Oh, I see.
Instead of just trying to reach everyone, they can really focus on building relationships with people who are already interested in what they have to offer.
That's smart.
Right. It's about quality over quantity.
Yeah. Okay, so we've talked about how we connect socially,
Mm-hmm.
but what about the bigger picture?
Right.
What about the economy? What's that looking like as we head into 2025?
Well, the report suggests a cautious outlook.
Oh, really?
Yeah, businesses they're a bit hesitant.
Why is that?
Well, there are a few factors at play.
Okay.
There are ongoing trade tensions.
Right.
There's this general economic uncertainty. And this is leading to a potential slowdown
Slow down in what?
in investment
Okay.
and in hiring
Oh, wow.
across various industries.
So businesses are kind of holding back a bit.
Yeah, they're being a little more careful.
I see. And the report mentions things like tariffs and immigration policies as contributing to this cautious approach.
Right, it's a complex global landscape.
Yeah, sounds like it.
But even within this broader picture, some interesting things are happening.
Okay, like what?
Well, let's look at the job market in Australia.
Okay.
Despite this overall uncertainty,
Uh-huh.
Australia is actually anticipating a continued low unemployment rate,
Really?
potentially staying below 5%.
Wow, that's pretty impressive considering everything else that's going on.
It is.
So what's driving that?
Well, a few things.
Okay.
Older Australians are choosing to work longer.
Oh,
They're delaying retirement.
okay.
And we're also seeing people who were previously out of the workforce re-entering it. So this is contributing to a higher overall participation rate.
So a tight labor market in Australia, despite the global economic worries.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic.
It is.
Okay, now let's talk about housing.
Okay, because that's always a big one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And here we see a significant demographic shift influencing demand.
Okay, well, what is that?
Millennials are entering their prime family-forming years,
Makes sense.
and this is creating a strong demand for larger homes,
Larger homes, like how big are we talking?
specifically 3 to 4 bedrooms.
Wow.
And this demand is strong in both urban and suburban areas.
So they're looking for space.
They are. They need it for their growing families.
Yeah, okay, now let's talk about who's doing all this spending.
Okay.
Gen Z, right? They're really coming into their own.
They are, and their spending power is growing rapidly.
Yeah, the report says it's projected to reach about $9 trillion globally.
$9 trillion, that's a massive force.
It is, and it means brands need to pay attention. Because it's not just about the amount they're spending, it's about what's influencing their choices.
Right. Their values are really important.
Yeah, the report actually says that 82% of consumers prefer brands that share their values.
That's huge.
And this is especially true for Gen Z.
They want authenticity.
Yeah, they want brands to actually walk the walk.
They do, and this is driving a real shift in marketing.
Oh, how so?
Well, it's moving towards brand-led marketing.
Brand-led marketing, what does that mean?
It means focusing on the brand's mission, its values,
Okay.
really connecting with consumers on a deeper level.
So it's not just about selling a product anymore.
No, it's about building relationships.
Based on shared principles.
Exactly.
Okay, let's shift gears again and talk about technology.
That sounds good.
Because there's a lot happening there.
So much.
So what are the big advancements that we're going to see in 2025?
Well, the report highlights a few key areas.
Okay.
Immersive technologies like VR and AR.
Right.
The continued advancement of AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes. The potential of quantum computing.
Wow, that's still kind of mind-blowing.
It is.
Yeah.
And then there's progress in robotics.
Oh.
And a really interesting sector, the growth of age tech startups.
Age tech startups, what's that?
These are companies that are developing technologies specifically for older adults.
Oh, that's fascinating.
It is.
Okay, and speaking of AI, the report talks about how it's being used in marketing.
Yeah. AI is becoming really sophisticated in that area.
Okay, so how is it being used?
Well, automation driven by AI is already the 4th most popular application in marketing.
Really? So it's already pretty widespread.
It is, and it's only going to become more common.
So what kind of tasks is it automating?
Things like scheduling social media posts,
Okay.
analyzing data to identify trends,
Uh-huh.
even personalizing communication with customers.
Oh, wow. So it's taking over a lot of the more routine tasks.
Exactly, which frees up marketers to focus on more strategic work.
That makes sense.
And the report also mentions that 43% of marketers see AI as essential for their social media strategies.
Okay, so how are they using it specifically for social media?
Well, one key use is monitoring online conversations.
Like what people are saying about their brand.
Exactly. AI-powered tools can track brand mentions across different platforms, analyze the sentiment in those mentions,
Okay.
and give marketers a real-time understanding of how people are feeling.
That's incredibly valuable.
It is. It allows them to stay on top of public perception.
Okay, so AI is clearly having a big impact.
It is.
The report also talks about Micro SaaS.
Oh, yeah, that's an interesting one.
So what exactly is Micro SaaS?
Well, imagine very specialized software services
Okay.
delivered over the internet.
Okay.
What makes them unique is their focus on the customer
Okay.
and the increasing integration of AI.
Okay.
These platforms, they typically address a very specific need
Okay.
for a defined group of users.
Okay, so they're very niche.
They are. And they can be very efficient because they have lower overhead costs.
I see. So they can offer tailored solutions without having to be a huge company.
Exactly. Think of them like very focused apps.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah. And lastly, in the tech space, we have this content creation revolution that's happening.
Oh, yeah, it feels like things are changing so fast there.
They are. And the report points to Instagram's upcoming Movie Gen tool.
Movie Gen, what's that?
It's a tool that will allow users to edit videos just by using text prompts.
Oh, wow. So you just tell it what you want and it does it.
Pretty much.
That's amazing.
It's a big step towards making video editing more accessible.
Yeah, anyone can do it.
And then there are tools like Keek.
Keek.
Yeah, it's an AI-powered tool that helps with video translation
Oh, wow.
and even uses digital avatars.
So you can reach a global audience even if you don't speak the language?
Exactly.
That's incredible.
And it allows for more personalized interactions across language barriers.
Okay, so we're seeing a lot of really exciting developments in technology.
We are. It's a rapidly evolving space.
It is. Okay, let's move on to something that's really important.
Right.
The environment.
Yes, this is a major driving force.
It is, and the report actually highlights a growing concern
Okay.
about how pollution and climate change are impacting global fertility rates.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's becoming a really serious issue.
It's a fundamental issue.
It is.
Yeah.
But on a more positive note,
Well,
we're seeing more and more integration of sustainable technology.
yes, and AI is playing a big role here.
Okay, how so?
Well, there's Alibaba's Bhagwan.
Bug one, what's that?
It's an AI-powered weather forecasting system.
Oh, wow.
It's providing more accurate predictions.
Which is essential for preparing for extreme weather events.
Exactly.
And we're also seeing AI being used to improve carbon capture methods
Wow.
and to make industrial manufacturing more sustainable.
So using technology to address these big environmental challenges.
Yeah, that's really encouraging.
It is. And speaking of sustainability, the report also talks about data centers.
Okay, because those are huge energy consumers.
They are, but there are new designs that are much more energy efficient.
Oh, like what?
Well, the report gives the example of Alibaba Cloud's CUBE DC 5.0.
Okay.
These new data centers have advanced power management and cooling systems.
Do they use less energy?
They do, and they have a smaller environmental footprint.
That's great.
And it's not just about these big technological solutions from corporations.
Okay.
We're also seeing a rise in environmental activism at the community level.
Oh, that's really important.
It is. More people are taking ownership of environmental issues.
In their own backyards.
Exactly, and advocating for change.
Okay, let's move on to something a little more subtle.
Yeah.
Cultural microtrends.
Interesting.
So these are those shifts in how we behave,
Mhm.
what we value, what influences our choices.
Right, those undercurrents.
Yeah, exactly.
And the report actually identifies a few key shifts that are likely to shape society as we move towards 2025.
Okay, like what?
Well, one of the most notable is what they call the age of accelerated reckoning.
Age of accelerated reckoning. That sounds kind of intense.
It is. It refers to this heightened awareness of social issues
Okay.
and an expectation that both individuals and brands will engage with these issues.
So like greater accountability
That's right.
and transparency.
Yeah, consumers are demanding it.
Makes sense. People are more informed
They are.
and more vocal.
Absolutely.
Okay, another trend is discernment over distraction.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right, because we are just bombarded with information all the time.
Constantly.
Yeah.
So what this means is that consumers are starting to prioritize deeper engagement
Okay.
over superficial interactions.
They want quality over quantity.
It's exactly.
Yeah, and they want to engage with brands that have authentic narratives.
Yes, that align with their values.
It's almost like a rejection of the constant noise.
It is. People are looking for something more meaningful.
And then there's longing for connection.
That ties in with our earlier conversation about social trends.
Yeah, it does.
It's that desire for real relationships.
With people and with the planet.
Exactly. And consumers are drawn to brands that reflect that.
So brands that are community-focused and sustainable.
Yes, that are making a positive impact.
Okay. The report also makes this distinction
Okay.
between actual cultural movements
Uh-huh.
and those micro trends that pop up and then disappear just as quickly.
Right, the fleeting trends.
Yeah, like a certain fashion style or a viral challenge.
Exactly. And brands need to be careful not to get caught up in those.
Yeah, because they can dilute their identity
They can. It's important to understand what has real staying power.
versus what's just a flash in the pan.
Right. And the report also emphasizes the power of user-generated content.
Okay, why is that so important?
Well, it's more authentic.
Okay.
When brands use content created by their own customers,
Mm-hmm.
it builds trust.
Yeah, because it's real people sharing their experiences.
Is it?
And it's not just about being authentic.
Right.
Brands also need to be agile.
Agile.
Yeah, they need to be able to adapt to these cultural shifts.
Right, because things are changing so quickly.
Exactly, but they also need to stay true to their core values.
It's a delicate balance.
It is. It's about finding that sweet spot.
Yeah, between responding to trends and maintaining your identity.
Okay, let's wrap up with health and wellness,
Okay.
because it seems like longevity is becoming a big focus.
It is. People want to live longer, healthier lives.
Yeah, and the report says that a lot of consumers are feeling optimistic about their future health.
That's good.
It is, and this is being driven by a growing interest in preventative health solutions.
Yeah, it's about being proactive.
Yeah, and technology's playing a big role here too, right?
Absolutely. The adoption of smart devices and fitness trackers is on the rise.
especially among younger generations.
Right. They're really embracing these tools.
Yeah, and we're also seeing a trend towards more targeted self-care solutions.
Yes, it's not one size fits all anymore.
Yeah, the report mentions things like at-home health devices
Uh-huh.
and also emphasizes the importance of mental and emotional well-being.
Right. It's about a holistic approach to health.
Yeah, and consumers are increasingly prioritizing those things.
Especially younger demographics, they want to feel good.
Yeah, they want to have energy and vitality.
It's about overall well-being.
It is. Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the microtrends shaping 2025, it's clear that we're looking at a world that's focused on genuine connection,
Yes,
mindful consumption,
absolutely.
leveraging technology for good, and a heightened awareness of our impact on the planet.
It's a complex but fascinating picture.
It is, and by understanding these shifts, you can get a clearer perspective on what's coming next.
And make more informed decisions.
Exactly. So here's a final thought for you to consider.
Okay.
Of all the microtrends we've explored today, which one do you think will have the biggest impact on your life by the end of 2025? And what questions does that raise for you about how we adapt and thrive in this ever-changing world?
That's a great question.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you next time.
See you then.